A lot of us are because people. Because something happens, we have our initiated response. Leah was eloquent in describing how the system has a because type of response. When something happens, because you did this, these are your consequences. Most of us in our world have because type of environments, right? If you show up and you do good, because of the good you did, you receive this next opportunity. Or because of the things you didn't do and the inaction, you're receiving this new opportunity that may not be the one you want. A lot of us have our past that is active in our present. Because my father wasn't around, I act pretty differently. Because I lost a parent at a young age, I act pretty differently. Because of my addiction, I act pretty differently. We are because people. F5 is an even though organization. And I want you to see that difference because it is a profound difference of grace. Even though you're a felon, even though you've fallen on hard times, even though you have messed up your life and you have hurt and harmed other people, even though we're still here for you. Now you got to show up every day. If you're getting out of that system, there is hardline grace. It is, we are always here for you, but you got to put in the work. I have the privilege of going every other week. It's the rhythm that I have with my family arranged. And so Adam is kind enough to let me come and talk to the inmates every other week. And it is the most selfish hour of my week. Because I walk out of there with an even though heart instead of a because disposition of life. And holy cow, is that changing my perspective. We have inmates. There's a guy named Michael. Michael is getting transferred. He was up for 20 years and got it down to 5. And so when I was in the jail 2 weeks ago, they were high-fiving and celebrating because he only has 5 years left to serve. Even though Michael messed up really big time, and he's fully accountable for his actions. Refreshing. Maybe you don't expect that, but in there are a lot of men, not all the men, but a lot of men who are saying, I messed up. I've been a slave to my addiction. Because these things happened, I made bad choices. And they're owning their mistakes. And a lot of us want to wait for them to have the even though attitude and the grace in order to reacclimate into society. A lot of us want them to change first. And if I didn't have the gift of going to that jail every other week, I would be in that same boat, saying that they need to change their disposition, their situation, and their energy, and they need to come out and they need to grind to make it happen. But I think it's our call to be the even those first. It says be the change on your program. And I think it's intentional to talk about the change that happens because the felons are changing because all of a sudden, even in one room on a Wednesday night, somebody is believing in them. And you have a guy like Mark who is pouring his heart into people, even though his wife and kids are at home. And you have Mark who isn't a felon and has no place in jail, and even though he has no place in jail, he's there every week. And you have Mark who had a celebration for somebody that we worked with yesterday, who he wanted to be there desperately, but he got a call from a guy that just got out. And even though he had something else on his schedule, he dropped it to take care of somebody who was desperately in need. That even though change needs to happen in this room if it's going to happen in that jail. It is an us first mentality where we have the privilege and the opportunity to be the even though people instead of the because people. Our system is a because system, and it has to be rigid because rigidity is necessary for consequences. But this world needs more grace in it, my friends. This world needs more people willing to take a chance on someone. Is Tom in the room today, Adam? Tom's the owner of High Point Network, and even though Adam was a 5-time felon, and even though you didn't deserve to have a job in the professional world, you were given that grace. And grace changes the world. I have to believe it because Adam is changing the world, and you're a product of that grace. Is Sandy in the room? Sandy Roars? No. A lot of you are here because of Sandy. Because of Sandy and Jim, Adam has a place to rest at night, and a great place at that. Even though you're a felon and they don't rent to felons, you have a place to stay. It's the even though attitude of grace and the disposition that we need to take first. I can promise you that with the work of Adam and Mark and the rest of the F5 people, there is change happening. There are changed hearts. There are people waiting to get out so that they can impact lives the way in which on a random Wednesday we're impacting theirs. There were tears last night. I got to stand in front of a room. Before I went to the jail, I was on NDSU's campus working with 25 of the top leaders on NDSU's campus. And I'd rather talk to the guys in the jail. There's less entitlement. There's more transparency and honesty. There's a hunger to change.